Okay, welcome to Area of Circles. Formulas you need to remember is to find the circumference of a circle. You can use either pi d or 2 pi r. Are they different formulas? No, it's just that two radiuses happen to equal a diameter. Okay, so it's a case of you choosing whichever one you prefer. Formula for area of a circle is pi r squared. One way, if you get confused, a lot of people forget which formula to use with which. Most of you remember that when you find the area of something, you have to write out square centimetres at the end of your answer. And of course, area of a circle happens to have a square in it. So that's one way of remembering that the area of a circle is pi r squared and not 2 pi r. So in this particular question, we're asked to find the area of this shape. As you can see, this shape is made up of a rectangle and is also made up of a quarter circle. So remember, the first thing you should be asking yourself is, what do you notice? In this case, what I notice is a rectangle and a quarter of a circle. So now we can start the process of working out the area. And the area is going to be equal to, now again, I'm just going to do it as two separate shapes. And in the rectangle, it is 7 by 15. And the area of the circle, well, in this case, the radius, which is from here to here, is going to be 7, because the whole thing is 22, remember, minus the 15, that leaves you with 7, because 15 plus 7 is 22. So I've got pi r squared, which is pi times the radius squared, but it is only quarter of a circle, so I need to divide by 4. Once I do all that, I can put that in a calculator. And as you can see, I've done the answers. I've done the first part, the rectangle, and the second part, the quarter circle. Added them together and I get 143.48 square metres. I've rounded it off to 2 decimal places. I forgot to put that in the instructions, but in this case I'm telling you to do it to 2 decimal places, but always read that sort of stuff and make sure you do the right thing. Okay, so once again, what do you notice? You notice a big circle, you notice a small circle. And in this case, what they're asking you to do is to find the area of the shaded section. So in reality, what they're asking you to do is to find the area of this. Just in case you didn't know, this sort of shape is called an annulus. So sometimes you might hear or see a question that says find the area of the annulus. That's what they're talking about, okay? So easiest thing to do is you've got one big circle, you've got one smaller circle, and you subtract them. So in reality, what's actually happening is I'm finding the area of my very large circle, find the area of my smaller circle, which is in the middle, subtract them from each other, and that of course leaves me with the donut section, okay, the red section. Now notice because I've got two circles, which means I've got two different radiuses, I've done a little key, capital R for the big one and it being 15, little r for the smaller radius, it being 6. In this case, I have written out the formula so that you can see what's happening. Again, I like to use brackets to separate the two separate shapes. Does it change your answer in any way? No, it doesn't. It's just the way I like to do things. It keeps it all tidy and makes it easier for the marker to know what's going on. So I've substituted into the equation and then I just type it in the calculator and get an answer. Just as a little side extra, you don't have to do this unless they talk about exact form, but 15 squared is 225, so in actual fact that is 225 pi minus 36 squared, whoops, that square should be in there, I don't know why I've got it out there, 36 squared times pi, and so the exact answer of this particular question in actual fact is 189 pi metres or square metres. But in this case, we're going to give the answer to 2 decimal places. So times it out by the pi and I get 500 93.76 square metres, and that's to 2 decimal places. Okay, I've just done that as a little bit of an added extra, just so that you understand you can write things in exact form, especially if they ask you to. Okay, once again, what do you notice? I notice a semicircle. I notice a second semicircle. I notice that the radius of this semicircle is 6, and I notice that the radius of this semicircle is 3. So I've got the radius of the big circle is equal to 6, and the radius of the smaller circle is equal to 3. They are two semicircles that are added onto each other. So once again, you have area equals pi r squared is one circle, in this case representing the bigger one, but it's a semicircle, and I'm adding on the smaller circle, which is also a semicircle, and then all I've got to do is substitute and work out the answer. Now if you just type it in from left to right, this section, of course you get that answer. Be careful, I have rounded off to 2 decimal places, which is 70.69, not 70.68, because you've got to remember that the third digit is a 5, which means you've got to round up. Once again, I'm just doing this little bit of extra stuff just for your knowledge that you can write things in what's called exact form. Okay, and then of course 18 plus 4.5 pi is 22.5. It's a bit like thinking about the pi like an A. 18a plus 4.5a is 22.5a. It's just that this case a is equal to pi, and pi is equal to a number which is 3.14.